Baroness Warsi, firstly, your response to the video released last night of the beheading of the journalist Stephen Sotloff.
Well, first of all, my thoughts and prayers are with the family of Stephen. This is a moment of tragic loss for them, and I think that must be first and foremost in our minds.
The executioner in the video appears to have a British accent again. It is believed to be the same man involved in the execution of James Foley. We also have threats against a British hostage. How does David Cameron respond to that?
I think, look, there are a number of ways in which government would respond to this. There is, of course, first and foremost, making sure that there is a support for the military response that the US are leading. We need to let our allies and partners know that we are there to support them in their efforts in that region. I think there also has to be a response from the community, and I was delighted over the weekend to see the fatwa by a number of renowned Muslim scholars who basically said that the actions of the so-called Islamic State are not Islamic. It is right that Muslims around the world speak out and say that the Islamic State must not justify their evil in the name of my faith. And it's important to see the event that we've seen here at Westminster Abbey, where faith leaders and politicians from across the political divide come together in solidarity to say that we are thinking of and supporting of those people who are losing their lives in Iraq.
The US has called for British help in airstrikes in Iraq. Do you support airstrikes, and does David Cameron need the approval of Parliament to do it?
Look, this is a decision that government will have to take. I have said about 2 weeks ago that it is time for us to seriously think of some form of military support. What form that takes has to be something that government has to decide on.
You resigned over government foreign policy, in particular over Gaza. Do you feel the government is doing enough here? Do you feel similarly strongly about the threat of ISIS and our reaction to it?
I think that we must take the threat of ISIS seriously. It isn't just a threat for the region, it is a threat for us here in the United Kingdom too. It is important that we approach this issue in a number of ways. Military support is one, making sure that we are delivering aid and support to those who need it most in Iraq quickly is another way. It's also important that we challenge the so-called Islamic State, both theologically, as has been done over the weekend by a number of British imams, but also through social media. One of the things that we have seen is that the so-called Islamic State has been quite effective in using social media to put out its propaganda. Yesterday, for example, one of the tweets that I put out was that they have to stop justifying their evil in the name of my faith, and that has been retweeted over 1,000 times. It's important that on every level we fight back and clearly say that this is not in my name, this is not in the name of Islam, and that we will not sit back and tolerate this kind of action.
Do you think that the British Muslim community is doing enough to counter the threat of radicalisation, the extremism?
I think there is a huge amount of goodwill and support. As you saw here at the vigil, we had leaders from across the different religious divides, and indeed people of no faith, religious leaders who came together and said that these barbaric acts that are being committed in the name of Islam in Iraq are not done in our name, that there is no basis in Islam for these acts, barbaric acts, to be justified, and that British Muslims, as indeed Muslims across the world, are saying that there is nothing Islamic about the Islamic State.